All right, guys, for round number 3, did either of you ever have to take a combat lifesavers course?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
And did you have to, I remember we had to be in the room and people are yelling at you and they teach you how to put the IV in somebody's arm. And I cannot tell you how many of us fucked it up over and over and over until we all had busted vessels in our arms. I know the guy that I was doing it on, I forgot to take the band off. And so when I finally did, blood went squirting across the room at incredibly high pressure. But I mean, it's really difficult. I know they do the controversial one with the pigs and everything, but I say if it helps you save lives on the battlefield, like you do what you got to do. But it is really difficult and really stressful. So combat medics, I mean, it's hard to imagine the kind of stuff that they do and pull off in the field. And this story coming to us from Task and Purpose is no different. We already knew that Army Rangers were a unique breed of badass, but performing real-time blood transfusions while under enemy fire on the battlefield takes it to an entirely new level. I saw this all over Twitter this weekend. People were like, holy fuck, this is badass. The Ranger Rolo program, developed a few years ago, allows soldiers to donate blood to their wounded comrades on the battlefield in a matter of minutes. When called upon, a blood donor volunteer moves to the casualty and pulls out their issued blood donor pack. Either the unit's combat medic or a trained non-medic ranger draws the blood from the volunteer. The volunteer then returns to combat, and the blood is immediately administered to the casualty.
This is crazy.
So it's like in...
Like, think about that for a second.
Yep.
How insane that is. That there's active firefights going on, and you know somebody's bleeding out. They take you from the fight, give you the blood, and then you're back out there. They don't give you a cookie, a slice of bread, half a Subway sandwich, nothing. You just get your ass back out there.
And you don't get to give the Zach Morris timeout to the enemy.
Do I at least get a sticker? The whole process takes about 10 minutes. And if you think, they call it the fog of war, and like it looks so straightforward in the movies and films, but it's absolute chaos when there's a firefight going on. And to know that these guys pulled it off, and that this is a thing that these
and 10
medics
minutes
are
is an
doing.
eternity, too. Whenever you're in a firefight,
sure.
10 minutes feels like an eternity.
Well, Rangers in Afghanistan saw this life-saving technique executed in combat for the first time last summer, according to a press release, when an assault force was pinned down for 2 hours in Wardak province during a night raid. During the fight, 3 Rangers were wounded in an initial blast. One critically wounded casualty was pulled out of the line of fire, and where they were pulled was a small lump of earth, no more than 1 meter high. So they're pulled behind this tiny lump of earth, and they began being assessed by the combat medic, Staff Sergeant Charles Bowen of 75th Ranger Regiment. Sergeant Ty Abel, also from Bravo Company, began checking out the 2 other Rangers. Bowen then found that his casualty had a gaping hole on the right side of his chest with a weakening pulse. While helping him, another Ranger stumbled over to Bowen, blood pouring from his neck. Bowen immediately moved to stop the bleeding, applying pressure to the neck wound, and eventually performing with Abel a cricothyroidotomy to help him breathe.
Nicely done.
An incision in the neck to establish an airway, which already I'm overwhelmed here just reading it. All of this was being done while taking machine gun and mortar fire. So he has the one guy with a sucking chest wound. He has another. He has to cut the hole in the throat to help him breathe. After getting the neck wound under control, Bowen turned back to the casualty with the chest wound, who was bleeding out. There were no more available blood units, as they had all been used. That's when Bowen and Abel turned to Rolo 3 different times while under direct enemy fire. They drew fresh blood from pre-screened donor volunteers, all with universal type O blood, transferring it to the wounded casualties. In 2017, that program was awarded the Army's Greatest Innovation Award by Army Materiel Command. I can't imagine. This seems like something that if you saw it in a Hollywood movie, you'd be like, oh, okay.
That's not happening in real life.
Bullshit.
During the middle of a firefight, they find 3 different people with the O-type blood who knew that this was the guy they needed to go to, same type blood as them. Like, holy shitballs. I mean, this is just insane.
I don't understand. I really don't understand how, like, Air Force, like, their paratroopers, how our Navy corpsmen and how Army medics do their job. Because these are people that they're with every day. Like, they're training with them all the time, and you see these horrific injuries that take place, and to have the awareness of mind to be able to do something so unbelievably complicated in the moment and save people's lives, it is beyond imagination. And a lot of times, yes, there is training that goes in being a medic and things like that, But these people aren't doctors. They're enlisted men who are able to do this type of shit. It is crazy.
Yeah, and I think no matter how much you train, you can train and train and train. And I don't think you can actually simulate what was going on here and is described. As all of the treatments and movements while under enemy fire were occurring, danger close fire missions with Hellfire missiles, 30mm rounds, and 105mm rounds were being executed as close as 30 meters from our position. 30 meters? That's pretty freaking close.
Pretty close. And while all that was going on during this 2-hour firefight, Staff Sergeant Bowen and Sergeant Abel saved 6 lives. They stopped 6 people from passing away. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible.
I like this line too. Sergeant Abel and I did our best to shield our casualties from harm and covered their ears during impact of the large munitions to try to save their hearing. That's unbelievable that they did this. It doesn't say whether or not they did, but gosh, I know that they were essentially doing what they're trained to do and what they're supposed to be doing as their job, but they deserve some sort of award for this.
Right, because there's a term in the award manual that's outside your rank and experience level.
Yeah.
That is far outside your rank and experience level, no matter what rank you are. I mean, and a grateful nation appreciates the sacrifice and what they did and their skills and expertise. Just shows another level of what these people on the battlefield are actually able to do on a given day. Blows me away. Even years later, stepping out and reading military news every single week for years, still coming across stories like this absolutely takes your breath away. Huge credit to them and their training too. The best training in the world.